Hi there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. This is the second part in my favorite books series that I am doing. Very short little series of only 2 videos. I thought that these videos might be helpful to you as you are thinking about things you might want to buy for the people in your life this holiday season that is coming up. Today's video is for the adults in your life who may be working with children who have developmental disabilities, or who may be parenting children who have developmental disabilities. And in fact, most of these books are going to be equally helpful for people who have children in their life, period, even if those children don't have any delays or diagnoses. The very first book I'm going to recommend is My Book Full of Feelings. This one has a lot of instructions in the front about how to use it and directions on different ways that are very helpful. And the basic deal is it has a different tab for the main 6 emotions that we kind of teach super early on. Obviously, there are a lot of additional emotions, but these are the ones that are the most early developing and the easiest to recognize for kids. It starts out with sad, and it has a little triangle here to remind you to teach your kids and remind your kids that feelings can be little, medium, or big. A lot of kids feel a feeling, a lot of adults too, feel a feeling, and it feels completely overwhelming, like we can't get out from under it, it feels humongous. And then we realize, okay, I didn't get a slice of chocolate cake. It's not a big sad. That's a little tiny sad. And so we can kind of talk about that with the child. It gives examples of little hurts, medium hurts, and big hurts. And then on the other side, gives examples of what we can do in those circumstances that are reasonable responses to those feelings. It's great. I wish that I would have learned these things at a very early age. Unfortunately, social emotional skills were not taught when I was preschool, elementary school age, and I don't think even the adults in my life at that time had any clue about what emotions they were feeling or how to deal with them appropriately. And I know I still continue to have trouble with that. And so it helps me to teach these things to younger friends because I need it just as much as they do. By the way, I will put links to all of these resources in the information box below this video. Click on more info and it will widen into a lovely cornucopia of glorious books and things you can click on to learn more. The next book I recommend for adults is A Treasure Chest of Behavioral Strategies for Individuals with Autism. This is not just for children with autism. I wish they would have left that off because it is for all children. All children have behavior issues, and sometimes, more often than not, those behavior issues have a cause that we can address. It's not always just because a child wants to be naughty. A lot of times there is a sensory need that's not being filled. A lot of times there's a miscommunication. We say something, the child doesn't quite understand it the same way. There are lots of things that can go wrong that can lead to behavior problems, and this book is a great way to work through some of them with your child or with the students in your life. The next book is called Do, Watch, Listen, Say. I really hate the title. I don't think it's helpful. However, I really love what's inside. And this is the new and updated version, which is a little harder to work with than the older version because it's not structured in quite the same way. Most of the time I just go right to Chapter 8, which is Activities to Support Development. And it has these pages that go in order of skills that need to be taught to kids. A lot of our children with developmental diagnoses of various kinds don't learn skills by watching their environment and learning from the environment as a typically developing child would. A lot of children with difficulties in the learning arena need to be taught certain skills very intentionally in order to learn them. We have to be very purposeful in teaching them things like paying attention to a toy, paying attention to me. We need to teach these things, and most families don't know how to do that. Even a lot of specialists aren't sure how to do that, especially at the very early stages. This is why early intervention therapists, speech language pathologists who specialize in early intervention, that's something that we tend to be very good at, but a lot of other professionals are not. So make sure that there's someone in your life who's working on that with you, and learn as much as you can yourself. This book is great for giving you examples. This talks about how to increase joint attention. And then it gives you sample activities of things that you can do to work on joint attention. Joint attention is being able to share attention on an object with another person. So I alternate my gaze between the person and the object. So this says a context might be motivating and familiar play. You pick up a motivating item, you put it in front of the child's face, and then you move it so it's in front of your face, so the child is able to see both of them at the same time. And then when the child looks at you, you hand the train to her. Keep making noises, keep sharing excitement, and keep being animated and engaging. Very simple directions, very simple activities, but these are the kind of activities that the professionals use to help kids who have difficulty in these areas. If you want to learn how to think and behave with these kids as a professional would who has lots of training, this book will help you do that. The first book that I ever read that had a huge influence on me in my career was this one, Visual Strategies for Improving Communication. This woman is a dynamo, Linda Hodgden. She still has a website, she still does seminars, she still sends out really helpful training emails. Go find her, look her up, read everything that she writes because she's really brilliant. She talks about all sorts of different problems that children face because auditory language, verbal language, is not the first language of anyone. Visual is our first language. We need a lot of visuals in our lives, and most children don't have enough of them. If a child has a communication disorder or a delay in any area, it's even more important for them to have visuals in their life. Everywhere they look, there should be visuals supporting their developing language skills. She gives examples of how to use them in all different environments. She gives examples of how to create them and situations in which you might use them throughout the child's day, in school, at home, in all other environments, and for all ages of children as well. Very helpful, and I'm so glad that she wrote this book and that she exists. She's been a big influence on me. The same woman also wrote this book, Solving Behavior Problems in Autism, and a lot of the ways that she deals with challenging behaviors are also through working to explain things and correct things using visuals. Once again, she's brilliant, the book is brilliant, and it's great to have in your library. I'm going to introduce these two at the same time because they're by the same authors, Dr. Greenspan and Dr. Weeder, The Child with Special Needs and Engaging Autism. Both of these are really great for any child who has any sort of developmental hiccup. Even if the child is a baby and you think, he's not responding to me the way that my other children did, or he really doesn't appear to want us close to him, something's going on. If you have that issue in your life, the sooner that you can start working on it with your baby or your toddler, the easier things will be. I know it's scary to look at a kid and think something is wrong, but it's less scary than refusing to look at it and 10 years down the line realizing that you wish you would have. It's way better to deal with it when we notice it than to ignore it. And these books talk about the entire developmental span and how we can intervene at each level in order to help kids get back on the right track. These doctors believe that diagnoses such as autism wouldn't necessarily have to happen if we intervened early enough, because some of the issues that come out of early lack of engagement could be prevented if we address whatever the problem was that was causing the lack of engagement. And I agree. These books are fantastic. They are a little scholarly in places, so don't give up and keep reading, and I think it will click into place, and it will make such a huge difference in how you approach your kids or your clients or the kids you work with in your program. Power cards. This is a great, very simple strategy for families who have a behavior that they wish to address and who have a child who is very interested in one particular character. For example, you might have someone who loves Minnie Mouse. You might have somebody who loves Justin Timberlake. This book teaches us how to use those characters to create behaviors that we want. Let me read you an example about baseball. Tommy is a 9-year-old boy with Asperger's. He's in 4th grade classroom most of the day, but becomes frustrated when he has difficulty completing his work. At times he falls to the ground kicking and screaming and has difficulty regaining his composure. Tantrums can last up to 45 minutes. Okay, that's just a general little description of the behavior. We now discover Tommy loves baseball, especially Cal Ripken. And so his teachers created a power card that says this on one side: Cal Ripken is one of the best baseball players of all time. He has enjoyed playing for the Baltimore Orioles for 15 years. Cal understands that it is very important to work hard and stay focused on and off the field. However, there are times when Cal gets frustrated and feels like falling to the ground screaming. He realizes that this would be inappropriate. He knows that if he behaved this way, the umpire would throw him out of the game. Cal wants everyone to know how important it is to handle frustrations appropriately. He began working on controlling his temper when he was in elementary school, and he has advice for all boys who feel frustrated. The next time you begin to feel a little frustrated, try doing the following things that helped Cal. And then on the other side, they have the things that helped Cal. And of course, this didn't actually happen to Cal. Maybe it did, who knows? But take a deep breath, ask an adult if you can calm down in a quiet place, and talk to an adult and work on a solution. Very simple things, but when we can hook it to something the child really loves, it makes it more meaningful to the child. I have done this with Thomas the Train and with other characters that kids really loved to help them remember to make better choices and be motivated to make better choices. It's hard to change. It's hard for me to change. But if there's someone that I admire who is doing the thing that I know I should be doing, that makes me more motivated to do it. And it's the same with the kids that we work with. When my worries get too big, I've talked about this book a lot. I think every family should have one because kids are anxious. We start out explaining that everybody has stuff they're good at. Here's me doing my favorite thing. I'm happy when I'm thinking about flags. I'm happy when I know what is happening. I get a little worried when I don't know where to sit on the bus. Yikes. When I'm worried, my stomach feels upset and it puts me at a 4. This book introduces the idea of the rating scale for telling how upset or anxious a child is, or an adult. Red alert! Red alert! Eee! The kids get to draw it, they get to talk about how they feel, and then they get to talk about strategies that help them calm down. And this gives you a lovely little rating scale right here. The child can write in things, either things that put them at those levels or things they do once they get to those levels to help them calm down. There are lots of resources here in the back that you can copy and use. And along with that is the incredible 5-point scale, which talks about different ways that you can use this theory and this terminology with the kids in your life. And there's one other resource that's really good with this one too. And unfortunately, I don't have mine because I loaned it out to a family. But it is a chart that has little cards of different activities. So there might be one like toothbrushing or a loud truck driving by. And then it has a chart with pockets. You have a family activity where everybody takes cards and puts them in the pocket that is appropriate for that. So for example, if a child really hates brushing his teeth, he might put that in the 4 pocket, because brushing teeth is enough to put him at a 4. And he might put petting the cat in the 1 pocket, because that calms him down and that counts as a 1. It's great for talking about these issues with kids who are able to talk about it, and introducing the idea that sometimes we get upset and there are things we can do to calm ourselves back down. We can teach that and we can help our kids practice it using these resources. My last book in this video is this one, More Than Words. It is super hefty, but there are lots of different illustrations. Ugh, really hefty. I have to use my big muscles. There are lots of illustrations. The font is fairly large, so you're not reading an academic journal here. You are reading a book that is written for families whose children are experiencing some sort of delay. A lot of the book talks about engagement and how to get our kids to be engaged with us, to be engaged with the world, to move out of self-stimulatory behaviors and unengaged behaviors into back and forth circles of communication with other human beings. It is the most foundational skill to have, and this book does a great job of teaching at a very basic level with lots of drawings and examples how to do that. It's not hard. It doesn't have to be scary. In fact, it's supposed to be fun for everyone. I hope this video gave you some really fun ideas for maybe some gifts or maybe some things to add to your own personal library that you might not yet have discovered. I have been in this field a long time, and I love to share the resources that I wish I had when I was beginning my journey. If you have questions, leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a great week. Bye.